If you're an attorney that struggles with getting home in time for dinner, or taking a vacation without your cell phone and your laptop attached to your hip, or maybe you just can't figure out why you don't make more money based on your education level and the service that you give to your clients. Maybe you're an attorney who wonders, why can't my law firm operate without my constant presence? Or finally, maybe you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if I can ever retire from my firm. Maybe I'm going to have to work right to my dying day, like so many other attorneys before me have done. Well, hi, my name is Richard James, and I created EA Nation so that you could learn how to build a law firm that supports your lifestyle as compared to undermining your lifestyle. EA Nation stands for Entrepreneurial Attorney Nation, and we join together, whether they're like-minded entrepreneurial attorneys, to unpack the secrets to how to do just that. And I want to help you build your law firm better, one system at a time. So without further ado, let's get started with this next episode. So welcome to today's interview with an expert. I'm so excited about today's content. We're going to be covering a very important topic as we move into this truly virtual world that we live in. We all are aware of the social media needs that are out there, and we can no longer ignore it. Even if you don't want Facebook chat, blipping on your phone and giving you those dopamine clicks of the little likes and the number ones up in the corner in red numbers. Even if you're not into that, you have to recognize that social media is here to stay. It's a platform or platforms that require content. In addition, the internet as a whole requires content, and understanding how to put that content together in a way that's going to be useful is a very important skill. And today we're going to be talking about the use of video. There's lots of ways to create content. Video is without a doubt the most powerful. And many of my members, as I've gone through the years, are unsure about exactly what video should look like, how it should be scripted, exactly how it should be used afterwards. And today we're going to be talking to one of our in-house experts, Cara Pryor from James Publishing. Not only is Cara a good friend, I consider her and Jim, the owner of that company, good friends. We've been together from the very beginning. But more importantly, I've recognized Cara as somebody who actually understands at a very deep level what the needs of a small business owner, namely a law firm owner, requires. What it is that they need to move the needle, whether it's moving the needle to gain more referrals or to understand how to implement content into their practice, or how to take that content and now create it into a video format. And they've created a wonderful platform for members to be able to use. But today isn't about selling, today's about education. So I asked Cara to come on and share some of her knowledge with you and really walk alongside you and give you what it is you need. So you can walk off this call today and you're actually going to have usable content that you can take and figure out how to do it yourself. Of course, if you don't want to do it alone, there's always the opportunity to call Cara and her team, and I'm sure they'll help you facilitate taking the next step to doing business with them. But today, strap in and really get ready to take some great notes, because we're going to be going down this path of the proper use of transforming content into video. So Cara, are you with me?
With you. Thanks, Rich. That was great.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And I know you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. So we got them both sides of the country covered. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your company, maybe your family, whatever you want to share, and then we can start breaking into the content. I'll let you drive your slides, and I'll just be here to ask questions as it makes sense as we go through. Sound good?
Yes, sounds great. Thank you. Thank you. And I do appreciate that. So I'm Cara Pryor. I'm the president of James Publishing. I'm also the founder of our Marketing Amplifier system. We really, if you're not familiar with James Publishing, we've been a legal book publisher for 40 years. This is our 41st year in business. So content is really what we hang our hat on here. We have a team of in-house attorney editors, and we're always working to create content, not only, to help guide attorneys through cases, of course, but also really to provide consumer-facing content to help you attract and educate your prospects and your clients as well. So I've been with James for, this is 8 years now. Before that, I was a professional journalist, primarily working in business journalism. I was a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine for a long time. I traveled around the country really interviewing pretty high profile startup founders. And that really kind of, is where my deeply ingrained interest in marketing lies. I live in Huntington Beach, Southern California. It's a balmy, I'll say it's a balmy 75 here today. We're lucky today, it's nice. I have 2 young boys, 2 and 5. They keep us very busy. They're very active, and I'm super excited to talk to you guys today about video, about content, and how really easy it is to get started. That's what I want to kind of convey today. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Perfect.
You can see those slides okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good. So, we're calling this how to create and promote effective legal videos. And as Rich says, right, I mean, videos, they're not really a nice to have anymore. They're really a critical piece of your law firm's overall marketing, overall branding strategy, really as critical as your website, truly. So letting prospective clients meet you on your website, learn about you, learn about your approach, see how you've handled similar cases in the past. It's the best way to distinguish yourself from the competition. The most effective, the most efficient, the most really affordable way to do that is through video. So let's talk about what we'll cover today. And if you have any questions in the chat, feel free to, just submit those. We'll certainly answer those. And I'm sure Rich will have some things to add throughout. So feel free to just add those to the chat. So the best way really to stand out is through custom video. It's also certainly a great way to build trust, familiarity with your prospects, right? So during the session, I'm going to show you a lot of examples. So there'll be an example-packed session because I think that's really the best way to kind of inspire you if you're just getting started. I can show you some good examples. I'll show you some topic examples, stuff you can just take from this presentation and use today. That's kind of our goal. So we'll certainly tell you how to use custom videos to tell the stories of your past cases, use video to sort of explain what brought you to the law, your approach as an attorney, who you are as a person, right? How to provide some helpful information about how a prospect's matter will be handled. That's super important. And certainly answer common questions you would get from prospects and new clients. So we'll then cover some easy ways to promote these videos. Once you have them created, creating the videos, that's most of the battle, but we certainly need some eyeballs on these videos to make all of it worthwhile, right?
Yeah, I love that you're going to really break into this idea of telling stories, right? So there's the next slide. So I'm not going to spoil the fun for you, but I think that's so powerful, and it's so oftentimes missed for owners of small law firms where they want to stick to the facts or the frequently asked questions, and stories are what really make the difference.
Absolutely, Rich. And it can be the easiest content to create, right? You're telling the stories of your past cases. So, if you're going to create one category of video, I would actually recommend it be this. It be, stories of your past cases that you've handled. So it's important, as I say in the slide, persuade prospects that you specifically have the knowledge, you have the talent to handle their legal matter, not the attorney down the street, but why you're specifically suited to handle their need. And showing them past cases or transactions just like theirs is such a wonderful way of doing this. I always recommend each video should cover just one case. So one video covering one case. Ideally, the past case should sort of unfold in maybe a 1.5 to 3 minute story told in chronological order. So think about it. The larger your collection of videos covering varying fact patterns, covering a variety of legal matters that you've handled, the better your odds of matching one with a prospect situation, right? So the idea here, let's develop kind of a growing collection of past case videos with varying fact patterns so that prospect can come to your site, watch you discuss a legal matter that may be very similar to the situation that they're experiencing. So ideally, like everything, you kind of create a process out of this. So you'll kind of get in the habit of shooting these videos every time a case concludes that has a fact pattern that you haven't yet added to your video library, right? So just make it part of the process and it'll happen. So examples, yeah, go ahead.
So I was just going to say the reason why behind this, right, is, and we're going to spend more time of this in the Partners Club event in March, but really, you want to attract a certain type of client avatar, right? We all know the type of clients that we want, that are our favorite type of clients. And when you can tell a story about what you just went through, obviously anonymously, unless you have the permission of the client to actually tell the story, but anonymously in a way that makes the person that's listening to it go, oh my gosh, I'm going through that exact same thing, right? That's my story. I can't believe, what are they sleeping under my bed at night? How do they know what my life is like right now, what I'm going through right now? And so when you can get to that emotional, the hell that the prospect went through and the heaven that you delivered them to by solving their problem, it's just so overwhelmingly powerful for you to be able to attract the right type of client avatar. Agreed?
That's right. It's a wonderful way to screen out, right? I mean, when you think about it, you're going to be talking about the type of case that you want to attract as well, right? So it's just a natural way of really kind of aligning that and attracting the type of case that you can help and that you want to help. So let me show some examples. I'll show some examples kind of throughout, just sort of brief clips of videos just to give you some inspiration. But I think it's really kind of the best way for you to understand what I'm talking about. And I think the first one, actually, this is from Michael Packard, who I think is on this call right now, I think. But this is a great example of a past case video we recently shot for him. I'll play part of it for you now, and then we'll talk about it briefly.
How did drone footage save our case? Let me tell you. My name is Michael Packard, and I'm an attorney here in San Antonio, Texas, and I help people who've been injured in car wrecks. My client was approaching 281 at an intersection that was under construction. When my client turned right, she entered into a protected right lane and was rear-ended from a vehicle that had been swerving around.
Okay, so, we actually shot this video over Zoom. What we're doing right now, we used Zoom to shoot this video, which is how we keep our shoots efficient and affordable. We eliminate travel, keep the shoot under an hour, little prep is needed, and you can do the same thing. You really can. So, we then, supplement with some storytelling slides. Sometimes we add some stock footage, some text call outs. That isn't absolutely necessary. And I'll show you some examples of more stripped down versions, but you can do the same thing, or you can find someone at Upwork, to help you with this editing. So I say this because you don't need to spend tens of thousands of dollars to create effective videos. Rich and I were talking about this briefly before this session. That's so important to remember. I mean, during the pandemic, we really have grown quite accustomed to seeing our nation's top officials, national news anchors coming to us through Zoom type, quality videos. So this is, I think that's a huge benefit to you now, as a small law firm owner, that you don't, in fact, sometimes the overproduced videos, it takes a little bit of that authenticity away, right? So let me just show you one more one more example of past case video. I want to show two because these are so compelling. This one is, I'll just show it to you, and then we'll talk about it.
Imagine walking into a store unassisted, just to get a few items, but you don't leave that store without your life being changed. Because immediately when you enter, you fall on a negligently maintained premises, breaking your hip, and you have to leave in a gurney. That's what happened to this client. I once represented an elderly lady who had slipped and fell.
I mean, look at that quality. We shot that on Zoom. So it's not, because I'm kind of reinforcing this because I get that question a lot. Well, is it okay to, is the quality, high enough? Yes. I mean, certainly you could invest in $100 webcam that would help a lot, but outside of that, Zoom is such a wonderful tool, or something similar. So, such a wonderful tool. And you can see how compelling these past case videos can be to your prospects who want to hear you talk about a matter you've handled in the past that may be similar to what they're experiencing. And if you put yourself in the shoes of your prospect, they're looking for help, honestly, with a pretty unnerving situation that they likely know very little about. So the more you can kind of bring down those walls, start establishing that trust, conveying your caring, the more you're going to distinguish yourself. And of course, the way to do that is
imagine walking into,
So I have a question.
Yeah.
In that particular case, do you, by the way, if you're going to answer any of these questions later, just tell me to put it in the parking lot and we'll cover it later. Okay. Yeah. But when it comes to backgrounds and things of that nature, was that his actual background or was that a green screen?
Let me make sure.
I mean, maybe you don't know specifically, but I'm just curious.
So generally we're not using green screens. So
very good.
Yeah. So that's what I would recommend. We just something simple, something that's not distracting. And we don't like those virtual Zoom backgrounds either, with a little bit of movement that can look really wonky. So, even just a plain background, is great. Make sure that you're, situated sort of, at an appropriate distance from your webcam. You're looking up slightly into the webcam, right? A lot of these little tricks, make sure that there's some good lighting. I have a ring light on. Look, let me turn this off. See how different it looks? This is a $25 Amazon ring light, right? So just, investing in some of these things, getting the highest quality raw footage. Yeah, yeah, right? Exactly.
And it's literally $25 from Amazon. Yeah. I've got other fancy lights that'll do the backlighting a little bit, and I'm using maybe a little bit more expensive camera. Yep. But you don't need it, right? Yep. But all these little ups, they're not hugely expensive, and like you said, you could invest in a couple of these upgrades for pennies compared to what you used to have to pay some of the video producing companies out there to produce a single video for you, right? So, and then you get to own that equipment free and clear forever, and you use it over and over and over again.
Right. I even recommend, some of the attorneys we work with, they have actually a dedicated workspace in their office where, it's just a laptop. It's, they have the light there. They have the external microphone, if it's a Yeti or, lapel mic, and it's all set up so that they can just sit down whenever they hear a common question from a prospect that, I want to record this. I want to sit down and dedicate 5 minutes to this. You don't have to worry about kind of, setting up the background, setting up the lighting. You have it all there. That's a good shortcut too, if you have space for that. Okay, so, Rich, I frequently hear from attorneys too, when I talk about shooting these past case videos, well, those sound great, but, maybe I don't have many or any past cases to talk about. So, I mean, if that's the case, maybe you recently opened your firm, or maybe you entered a new practice area, which became quite common during the pandemic, right? Maybe you pivoted and just you don't have many past cases. You can certainly use cases in the news or hypotheticals rather than actual past cases. I mean, the goal is just to describe, what's likely to unfold, right? So in other words, if not many of the case types that you want to promote have concluded, consider explaining how you would handle relevant cases discussed in the news or, commonly occurring hypotheticals. The key is to explain what's likely to unfold with a case type that really matches a fact pattern that you want to handle, a type of case that you want to handle.
Yeah, I mean, so the video that you just showed before, right? So it was a slip and fall situation for a PI firm. And so, many PI firms don't love slip and fall cases, but that particular slip and fall definition was somebody who broke their hip because of a negligently cared for floor, right? And so that type of case can be well, first of all, the person who falls really needs good representation, because otherwise they're going to likely get taken advantage of. So this is what the PI attorney is there for. And secondly, that's a good case for the firm. And so, when it didn't have to be his case. You could have told that story in general and it would have been accurate. And you could have still, invoked the same feeling because you described what somebody else just went through. And if somebody's searching about I just fell in Walmart, whatever, fill in the blank, and I broke my hip, what do I do? And those types of long-term searches exist. Your video is possibly going to rank in your geographic area for that search. And they're going to feel as if you were talking directly to them about what they're going through.
Right. And you're still giving that insight into what it's like to work with you directly, and what the whole process will look like, what it will look like when you really remove that burden from their shoulders. Yeah. And actually, I know a criminal lawyer who explains how we would handle charges resulting from videotaped police searches and videotape arrests. So these aren't cases that he's actually handled. They're just video that he has access to, and he has a really popular YouTube channel. So, certainly that's not having the past cases, that's no excuse. You can really still take advantage of this highly effective type of video. Okay, so another type of video, explain what brought you to the law. This is another great use of video. So, who are you as an attorney? Who are you as a person? Endear yourself to prospects by really kind of detailing how you got into your area of practice, what attracted you to the law in the first place. What's your kind of passion for helping clients, some of the mission behind the work that you're doing, your story, right? Tell your story. And your prospects certainly want to know that their case will be handled by someone who cares. So I have a couple of good examples I want to show you here. And these are just straight to camera. You could shoot these really, really quickly. They don't require a lot of editing, but, it talks about the why. So I'll show you two examples. This first one is from Mary Ellen O'Connor. She's an attorney from New York City. She practices primarily Social Security disability. Let me play a portion of it for you now.
Hi, I'm Mary Ellen O'Connor from O'Connor Law PLLC. We're a firm in the Metro New York City area that represents disabled people as a result of a work-related injury or from other ailments. Many people often ask me what led me to the law, and more particular, why I represent disabled people. I was a New York City school teacher, and I saw that many of my students weren't receiving the educational experiences that they were entitled to because of their disabilities. Initially, I had gone.
Okay, right. So she's talking about her why, the mission behind the work that she does. Just for kind of a varying example, let's look at one more here. This is from Stacey Barris.
Hi, I'm Mary.
This is from Stacey Barris. He really opens up about his past and tells his story. And, I think you'll find it compelling. So let me play a bit of this as well.
I often have people ask me why I became a lawyer. And the reason I became a lawyer is back in 1996, my brother Kenny was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was in intensive care for about 10 days, but ultimately he didn't make it.
So, we don't have to play too much of that to understand kind of where that's going, right? So immediately you feel connected to Stacey, you feel, the walls are coming down, and there is that, it's just like a relationship, a friendship, right? So like any other relationship you have, you kind of build it on trust. And if your prospects can kind of meet you before they actually talk to you, that can be really, really powerful.
Yeah, I mean, so this whole idea, I always refer to it as your origin story, right? And so it harkens back to the comic book days or the superhero days. Every superhero every one of them has an origin story. The reason why Batman is my favorite superhero is because he was one of the only superheroes that was not born with his superpower gifts, or was not bitten by a spider and had superhuman strength or whatever, that he literally used his money and his time and his training to develop himself into the character that he was. Now, he can't also be depicted a bit as a vigilante, so we got to be careful how much we, give credit to our heroes. But nonetheless, the point is, the origin story is told over and over and over again whenever movies are created or comics are created. And whenever you're doing marketing, that's really what we're doing. We're telling our stories. And one of the stories that has to be told ad nauseum is your origin story, why it is you do what it is you do. And there are some very compelling reasons for attorneys for the reason that they do what they do. Now, not every attorney got into the practice area of law because of some background story, but many attorneys ended up enjoying the practice of law that they found themselves in because of the service that it offered. And they developed these stories while dealing with their clients. And so it's wonderful when you can hear an attorney as a small business owner really put their heart out there and tell their origin story, because as Cara said, this allows people to connect with you and their walls start falling down. And so telling your origin story is something that should be done not only as a standalone, but in many ways, depending on the video you're telling, you're going to want to make sure you include your origin story along the way, even in a micro format. So people always, there's never a doubt why it is you do what it is you do. Do you agree with that, Cara?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, you really cannot get it out there enough. Of course, video is kind of the easiest way to do it, but it really is just the way to connect, and it's really the way to distinguish yourself for sure. Yeah. Another really effective, highly effective way of using video, just providing helpful information, right? So visitors to your website, for instance, they may not be quite ready to book that consult, right? Maybe they're not quite ready to give you a call. They're gathering more information. They're looking to get some of their questions answered. So certainly in explaining sort of how specific types of cases would unfold, you certainly demonstrate your expertise, right? But you're also addressing the biggest question all prospects have. What's the likely result in my case? What's going to happen? So, the more you can really kind of use this type of video to kind of, answer that question, but you can also use this type of video to welcome new clients in a way, right? You establish that critical first impression, further educate them in the process, and then, avoid any, I kind of call it, buyer's remorse or new client remorse. You can follow up with automated educational materials and videos dripped out on a consistent basis. The idea is you want to fill that communication gap that can sometimes occur between retention and when that visible work is done, right? So even though you in your office, you're hard at work on their case, if they don't hear anything, if they're just, if it's just crickets, unfortunately, they may assume that not a lot is going on. They don't understand the process. They don't understand what to be expected of you and what will be expected of them as well. So using this type of video to educate, certainly answer, that question of, what's likely to happen, how will things unfold, not only great for prospects, but certainly good on an ongoing basis for those new clients.
Yeah, so I would plus one on that. So two things that you said there. First, that you really touched on this concept of skimmers and divers, right? This is this idea that not every prospect is ready right now to schedule an appointment. And almost all attorneys have the same call to action, which is book an appointment, free consultation or paid consultation, it doesn't matter. And not every prospect is ready, but they are willing to consume information if they're a skimmer. And so when you put information out there that helps educate them as to what it is they can expect, they start to feel more comfortable about what they're walking into, and they start to build a relationship with you through video. Secondarily, you also have the opportunity to communicate, as you said, with your clients. And if you just look at the life cycle of a case, Cara, as you said very well, there are oftentimes in a case where your clients don't hear from them, their clients don't hear from them. And so there's this silence. And so, the clients oftentimes think nothing's going on. This is very common in contingency-based cases, but it's common in all cases. And so when you can map out the life cycle of the case, and then you can pick those milestones in which, what you're passing through at this moment, or even trigger milestones to happen from inside of the firm through a CRM, you can actually push these educational videos out to your clients so that they feel like they're watching you do something, even though this might be at a time in the case that not a lot is happening, but they're still hearing from you, and we're being proactive with our communication in a way that builds a relationship and gives them an education. It's just a fantastic tool. I love that idea. I think you were going to show a video and I interrupted you.
Yeah, I will. But you're right, Rich. It's automating that communication too, right? Because you don't want to take time away from progressing and working on their case, right? So if you just set up these automated sequences one time, take a little bit of work, but you set it up one time, you can use these for years and years with maybe some minor tweaks, if that. So the idea isn't to pull your time away from pressing client matters to fill these communication gaps. It's let's automate, bring a system to this so that without any additional action on your end or anyone in your firm, you're really filling that gap. And last thing I'll say before I show the video is what Rich, alluded to on the sort of skimmers, right? Like that can be the lowest hanging fruit. Those visitors to your site who, they just, even they inquired in one way or another, and then they didn't sign up right away, right? That can be the biggest opportunity. Let's take advantage. Let's show them video. Let's enter them into a drip series so that, you're top of mind and you're helping them, you're educating them.
Yeah, most law firms don't know that, the best law firms, those who win, 60% of their new client cases will come from people who originally said no.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to set an appointment right now. No, I don't want to show up. No, I don't want to retain the firm right now. The firms who win at a very high level, who have wildly profitable firms, are firms that understand how to convert the unconverted lead. Now, there's lots of tools to do that, but one of the arrows in the quiver that you should have as a small business owner is videos that is dripped out, automated. And once you create it once, it's done, and you can set it up in an automated format so it is repeated over and over again, and you're constantly communicating with your unconverted leads. It's one of the most untapped areas of opportunity for small law firms, oftentimes because they feel they don't have the time. But if they just knew the power to be able to create this video once and let it be a tool that's out there forever, they would do more of it.
Yeah, I really couldn't agree more. And if you're not following up, you better believe someone else is. So, they're going to take that client right from under your, under your nose. So I couldn't agree with Rich more on that one. So let me show you this video. It's from Albuquerque bankruptcy attorney, Chris Gatton. I'll show you a bit of it now.
Did you know that if most of your debts are not consumer debts, you may be eligible for Chapter 7 regardless of your income? I'm Chris Gatton, a bankruptcy attorney at Giddens & Gatton Law, located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and practicing throughout the state. And I'd like to talk to you about a past case of mine where we kept an individual with high income in Chapter 7. A former client of mine was a radiologist with very substantial income. His bankruptcy schedule showed that he earned over $18,000 per month in net income after paying his expenses. He owned a radiology business that contracted with local hospitals.
Okay, so, and if you want, I'm happy to send all these samples to Rich and he can get them to you guys too, so you can watch the full, but, just want to kind of give you inspiration so that you can kind of go out and do some of this on your own.
Did you know that if most
okay, so obviously, all of the other videos we talked about, kind of take us to maybe the most obvious use of videos to answer common questions. I mean, I think that is, just a natural, highly effective way of continually kind of adding new content and fresh content. So display your knowledge, display your willingness to help by offering a collection of FAQ, frequently asked question videos, which certainly provide helpful information, build familiarity, build trust. And these videos address questions that are regularly asked by prospects and new clients. And like the past case videos we talked about, certainly the FAQ videos demonstrate your expertise. They provide the helpful information that we're talking about. And, think about prospects who are, a little bit earlier in their maybe investigation of, the investigation process, not yet ready to select a lawyer. They have many common questions. Do I have a case, right? What happens next? Can I handle this myself? What might go wrong? These are all great questions to answer through video. And I'll actually provide some specific kind of specialty specific examples too, to get you started. But, Rich sort of alluded to this earlier, it's usually prospects at this phase, they're usually searching on Google to answer their questions, right? So you can attract them as well as certainly display your knowledge, display your willingness to help by offering a collection of videos which answer these questions. They're looking for answers to these questions. And by doing this, you won't have to verbally answer the same questions over and over again or quite as often, right? Prospects come to you better educated about perhaps what lies ahead. And certainly the prospects who contact you, they're of higher quality. They've gone through kind of more screens than the average prospect. So examples, you know better than anyone the common questions you get from prospects and clients, right? I always recommend sit down, take a few minutes, jot down a list, and you'll have a bunch of video content ideas from that list. We provide video scripts for many prospect questions. So I wanted to share some of those to give you inspiration, get you going. So I'll just read through a few of these. You can see them on the screen, but bankruptcy, Is my situation bad enough to file bankruptcy? Answer that question. Can bankruptcy save my home? Will bankruptcy harm my career? If you're practicing in business litigation, maybe, when is a party excused from its contractual obligations? What are the common defenses of breach of contract? Let's look at some other examples. Criminal defense. Can you get the evidence against me thrown out? How can I get an arrest or conviction off my record? If you're practicing in estate planning, do I need an attorney to draft my estate plan? What else is needed besides a will? How do I protect my estate plan from a disappointed beneficiary? Let's look at a couple more. Family law. Should I tell my spouse I'm planning a divorce? How can I minimize the harm to my children? You can see these examples on the slide. Injury, how do I pay my medical bills? How do jurors evaluate auto accidents? Social Security disability, am I likely to qualify for benefits? What is a hearing like? So I hope this gives you kind of the flavor of the videos that I'm talking about. Certainly, swipe these questions if they're relevant, but like I said, just start by answering the questions you hear the most often. Keep your answers direct, keep them practical, use plain language, and try to answer only one question per video. So one question, one video, just like what we were talking about with one past case, one video. So whether your answer takes 1 minute or 5 minutes, just keep it to, one single answer. I try to guide the attorneys that we work with to kind of avoid sort of wishy-washy, it depends answers, right? So where necessary, you could provide ranges where it's difficult to be specific, but again, try and be as direct as you can, and certainly speak in as plain English as you can. Let's look at, here's an estate planning attorney, Will Stafford, answering a common question he gets from clients, and then we'll move on. I'll play a brief portion of this for you.
One of the things clients ask me all the time is, can I just make a handwritten will? And the simple answer is yes, you can. Handwritten wills are called holographic wills, and they're valid in Texas and pretty much every other state in the United States.
Okay, right. So again, these are pretty straightforward. They're really social media friendly, which I'll talk about in a moment. They can be just really punchy, nuggets. Again, 30 seconds sometimes, a minute. Keeping these short, I think, is smart.
One of the things.
Okay, so reducing calls from unqualified leads. Rich and I were talking about this a bit earlier, right? Video is a wonderful way to screen out, frankly, really kind of protect your calendar and screen out those kind of unqualified prospects. And teaching prospects to sort of evaluate their legal situation the same way that you would evaluate them, that's time well spent, right? And videos are certainly a good way of accomplishing this task. And use videos to describe who you've represented in the past, and then to briefly explain sort of the minimum thresholds required for you to accept a case. So these minimums, they'll certainly convey that you're selective in who you represent. And, believe it or not, that exclusivity will actually increase the desire for your services. So don't be afraid to, what I call do a little bit of de-selling, actually, right? So you want to be as targeted, you want to talk, as targeted as you can to your prospects, so that they know, the type of case that you accept, and that you can really help with. I put some quick examples on the slide. Bankruptcy, is it time for me to file? These are good sort of qualifying questions. Business litigation, do I have a winning breach of contract claim? Estate planning, do I need an attorney to draft my estate plan? Family law, should I retain an attorney for my divorce? Injury, do I have a case? Disability, will I qualify for benefits? So these are just, again, some ideas to kind of get you going.
We had a couple of questions on logistics. I don't know if you have time to answer them all.
Yeah, I didn't.
So Jody asked, would it be good to have somebody acting as a client? So more of a, doing an interview style, and you have, be it professional, amateur actor or actress, acting as the client and asking the questions. And I don't have a problem with it necessarily. I would just say, in the beginning, keep it simple, right? So it's always harder, they think about scheduling and getting it together. In the beginning, it's just really hard to manage this process as you start doing this, let alone having to add another person in. I would tell you that get the basics done first, and then later you can go back and redo those same questions, but do it in interview style, which gives you the ability to have new content. Do you like that idea, Cara, or do you have a different thought on that?
No, I think that's spot on. I would definitely deliver the same advice, because as you'll see what we're about to cover, starting is sometimes that biggest hurdle, right? And you want to remove any friction, any potential obstacle. Dedicating your own time is going to be hard enough, right? So to, pull someone else in, maybe potentially pulling them away from, other critical work, just start simple, as Rich recommends. If you have perhaps some more, maybe a more complex past case that you're looking to review, that could be a nice kind of comfortable way of, almost role playing, right? So you could have your paralegal, asking you specific questions that, would kind of unfold into, more of a natural conversation. We sometimes will shoot some kind of intake style videos in this way, meaning show me what it will be like, on my first meeting with the attorney. What will that be like? And, we'll have someone role play as that new client, and you can see the attorney interacting, with that, with that new client. But I think that's a little bit more advanced. I would not recommend starting with that. I agree.
Yeah, and then Michael, I saw your question. I'm gonna put it in the parking lot because I think Cara's going to answer some of that about where to use the videos and how to do it. And if she doesn't, we can get to it at the end. And Stephen and Michael were talking about some audio issues, and we'll talk more about that. I think we'll get into it as we get into the logistics. So Cara, I'll let you keep going.
Okay, great. Again, just how to begin. Pull out your phone, sit in front of your computer, hit record. Don't overthink it, right? We can kind of move on because I want to talk about some of the primary promotional channels. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's get some eyeballs on these videos, right? So your primary promotion channels for your videos, certainly your website, social media, as we talked about, emails, and of course, YouTube. Creating a steady flow of videos, it's most of the work, of course, but you still need to publish, you still need to promote these videos. We need eyeballs on these videos. So I always suggest to focus on the creation of the videos. And if you can, delegate the posting and delegate the promotion if there's someone, available in your office. I mean, after all, you are the only one who can create the videos, right? But anyone, a freelancer, a staff member, can post them and kind of keep up with that side of it.
Yeah, so just to, as an aside, your goal when you're doing this is to not create traffic. There's no such thing as creating traffic. Traffic already exists, right? So it exists via search. It exists in channels where your target market already are and they're already watching. Your job is just to find those traffic, whether that is that traffic from your own house list and emails, unconverted leads, client list, whether it's traffic to your website, traffic to your YouTube channel, traffic through social media, or traffic on other people's platforms where your target market already exists, and place your video there. We're not trying to generate traffic. We're trying to take our video and put it in the middle of the stream of traffic so that somebody who's curious stops and watches it because that's what's going on for them in their life. Do you agree with that?
Exactly. Yep. That's critical to remember, right? I mean, that we're really creating scroll stopping content, right? When there's just content on social media is so fleeting, we're inundated with it. What can we do to stop that scroll and just, get the attention of a prospect for a few seconds that then, that's kind of the top of the funnel. And then we're able to kind of filter them through. I'll kind of breeze through this a bit, but tips for increasing viewership, as with books or movies, the cover, can determine whether a reader or a viewer will actually take a closer look. So think about the headline, write a headline directed at the prospect's interest. Again, this is, you can really kind of figure this out with popular search terms. I included some examples here. Do I have a winning case? Is your appeal likely to succeed? How to reduce the chaos in your divorce? But regardless of where you post your videos, attracting viewers, of course, remains important. It remains critical. So remember, engaging first slide, design an attractive cover if you can, use a compelling sort of benefit-oriented headline, add supporting bullets if you have those resources. But also, if you can, consider putting your targeted keyword in the video's title, use other relevant keywords in the meta description, even consider providing a transcript so that Google can actually crawl and you can take advantage of this content. So I certainly won't get too deep into the kind of the search optimization side of it, but there are some super basic things you can do to just increase that viewership as well.
Yeah, I call this like, so two things. One, clickbait, right? So if you go to your iPhone or whatever phone you have and you go to the news section, all those headlines are designed to get you to click, right? And your phone quickly figures out which news you actually pay attention to, and they send you more of it. And they professionals write these headlines. And so to Kara's point, I mean, you have to realize that what you're competing for is the eyeballs, and other people are competing for those eyeballs too, and they're writing really good content to grab their attention. Secondarily, when you're in your video, so many attorneys, I find they bury their lead, right? And what I mean by that is they start with, "Hi, my name is Richard James." And while there are times for that, more importantly, what we want to do is start with the headline, right? And to grab their attention. So if you ever watch the news, back in the day, if you watch the old school newscasters, they never introduced themselves first. They started with the headline of the night and they said, and I'm so-and-so with ABC News. And so you really want to think about this when you're crafting your script. And this is what Kara's team helps you with, is to how to not bury your lead. So clickbait and not burying your lead will help you get more viewership and more attention on that video that you create.
Yeah, put that value, put that interesting nugget right up at the top, and maybe it takes 5 seconds, right? And then you kind of get into some of the more substantive content, but absolutely that is the name of the game. You have to get that attention. Website. Your website needs videos. I think if you've taken anything from this presentation, I'm sure you'll realize I feel strongly about that. But videos, they're more effective at building trust, distinguishing you from the competition than anything else you can place on your website. So they're really a wonderful addition. Videos have become mandatory, in my opinion, to your legal website. With most website views happening on mobile devices, right? Happening on your phone, videos have become the more effective form of communication. Mobile visitors, they're simply less likely to read, kind of lengthy text on their phone, but they'll certainly watch videos. I mean, just like I'm sure similar to, your phone habits, right? So we suggest, do you have a case video for kind of the top of your website? That content will qualify your leads as well as certainly demonstrate your expertise, build trust, distinguish yourself. So do you have a case? That's a really great kind of first video to record and to spotlight. And then after that, kind of that broad scope video, we recommend a collection of tightly focused videos on the past cases with varying fact patterns like we talked about. So your goal here is to match one of the prospects' situation, with your video. Also, I'll just mention briefly, past client video testimonials are super compelling on your website as well. Written testimonials are great, but there's nothing like, getting that true, genuine, authentic account from a past client through video. I often am asked by attorneys, well, how do you collect it? Because really obtaining past client video testimonials can be a challenge, even though they're happy, they're satisfied with your service. It may require some nudging, but again, utilizing Zoom to do this is a wonderful tool. That's how we actually collect videos for testimonial videos for James Publishing. We've been highly successful at, really just who's a recent past client who you think would make for a quality video testimonial. Email them, give them a call, ask to jump on a 5-minute Zoom, ask them some direct questions to pull out a nice positive video testimonial that can be like marketing gold on your website and certainly on social media. So also think about video testimonials for your website as well. Emails, video links have higher open rates and click-through rates when it comes to video. So if you put video : a subject line in that headline, open rates will climb, unsubscribe rates will certainly decline, but click-through rates will also considerably increase. So really, I highly encourage you to use these videos in your emails. So most of the emails in your auto sent prospect nurturing series we were talking about should be peppered with these videos. Welcome letters to new clients should include videos. digital newsletters sent to past clients, put a nice video in your email signature line. So there are so many ways to use these videos once you have them produced. So, don't think that you just create a video once and you put it out there and it just kind of, sits and dies. There's lots of ways to repurpose this content. And using a video, your video instead of the email, the text of the email can actually communicate the bulk of the information that you want to convey, right? We actually love using Loom for this type of one-to-one video. Someone I think mentioned Loom. That's a great way to kind of create one-to-one videos. It's a free tool, but creating them can be simpler and faster than writing a lengthy email when you're talking about that too. Okay, moving along. Social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Videos are really tailor-made for social media. Facebook and Instagram specifically are highly prioritizing video over any other content, meaning they are much more likely to display your video content than anything else, than anything written, than anything that you're linking to. So keep that in mind. If you're taking the time to create these videos, you should also just be sharing them on social media. Certainly over time, that helps with branding. It helps with, even organic search over time, but it can also, be the key to kind of setting you apart. I could have a whole session on social media, but we'll continue. And of course,
that's a very deep topic, right? At the end of the day, we know it needs to be done, but the process about how to go about getting it done is another conversation altogether. Stage one is let's get the video made. Stage two is, okay, let's start talking about building a system, but putting this material out there on social media regularly. Oftentimes, all the time, I advise attorneys that they either have to have somebody else in their office do it for them, or better, they have to hire a company that can help them facilitate this. This is not posting the videos out there on your social media platforms is not your highest and best use. Your highest and best use is creating the content to let other people or third parties like James Publishing and Cara Pryor put the videos out there for you so they can go to work for you.
Yeah, and Rich, this is the last piece of kind of promotional advice I'll give. I'd certainly be remiss if I didn't talk about YouTube, right? If you're going to regularly produce video content, which we of course highly recommend, definitely add a YouTube channel if you don't have one. YouTube is second only to Google in search volume, right? So think about that. It's second only to Google in search volume. So it's the most logical home sort of outside your website for your videos. And since you're likely to host your website's videos on YouTube anyway, it just makes sense to have your own YouTube channel that you can publicize as well. Ideally, you'll get on a regular kind of video publishing schedule, right? So that you can ask viewers to subscribe to your channel. They can be notified when new videos are produced and when new content is available. But certainly, YouTube is a no-brainer when you're producing videos as well.
Cool.
So,
I was just gonna say, I mean, but managing it is a strategy all on its own. Now, I don't know if you want to, I also want to talk about a little bit about managing the actual production of the video, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We got about 5-ish minutes left. I want to let you get through whatever you want to get through. Maybe I'll save that question till the end.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually a good time for it, Rich. I pretty much got through, but you make a good point that, I really kind of skimmed the surface with some of these promotional channels. I mean, social media, YouTube itself, they're really, we could go deep into each of those individually, right? So, maybe we can talk more in depth about, specifics there, Rich, certainly.
Well, look, so my oldest son, one of his main businesses prior to him and I going into business together was his YouTube channel. He's got almost 90,000 subs. And, there's an entire science between making sure you're getting video posted regularly and correct to YouTube. And one of the things he talks about is, it used to be, there was this time where in the beginning, videos were really ratty and not done very well. And then there was this time when YouTube started getting very high production value and almost looked, Hollywood-like produced. And what he's found is people are really gravitating towards the more wholesome, not homemade, but done well, but yet not done with massive production price to get videos done, to get content out there that people just relate to it more, even making videos right on your phone. So I want to talk about like how to do it, because you and I were talking about this earlier, which is, if you won't mind, leave your screen up there for how they can get a hold of you. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
If people are going to block out their time, like if somebody's going to do this, right? I'm a big proponent of time blocking, and I don't want to create an environment where their freedom is stolen. Because if you're not careful with this, okay, warning, if you're not careful with this can start to feel like another job, right? And it can start to steal time from you if you don't do it in a structured way. So I'm a time blocker, right? So for me, it's if you've got a great video idea, keep a pad somewhere or something on your phone where you keep notes, and just start marking down the ideas that you have for videos, and then time block out some time to actually go and create those videos all in one big step, and then have somebody else edit them for you. Is that kind of how you run it with your clients as well?
Yeah, exactly, Rich. So chunking out time is super important. Batch recording is super important. So it's funny, I hear from our subscribers all the time, the attorneys that we're helping record videos on a regular basis, that so much of the value of being part of our program is just that accountability of showing up every month. So what we do, just this will help you with answering that question, is we'll schedule one single 30-minute monthly Zoom shoot with our subscribers. So ideally, this is a standing meeting. The third Friday of every month at 10 o'clock, that's when you're, blocking out your time to dedicate to just, recording this raw footage, and then, really batching that out. And what we do is we record for 30 minutes, and we use all of that. We collect all the footage we need during that short 30-minute shoot to then deliver, in our case, 4 videos a month. But it's a really great way to do it. It's almost, it's critical, really. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stick with this. I hear all the time, many of the subscribers that sign with us say, I've tried to do video. I tried to do video in the past. It worked for a little while. I got pulled away, and just like anything else, right? So creating a system, just putting some basic kind of accountability in place will go a long way.
Well, look, I do video. We make video all the time, right? So I'm almost always in front of a camera. And so I can tell you what it takes, right? So first you have to have the idea of what it is you're going to shoot. And it takes time to create those ideas. And creative spirit doesn't, I do it a lot, so I can do it kind of quickly. But for most people, they actually need to stop and think about what they want to say, and they need to create out at least a rough script, or they actually want to put something up with a little teleprompter or things like that, where they can actually stay on pace. So now we got to get the ideas, we got to get the content, we got to write the script, we got to prepare for it. And then after you go ahead and record it, you got to understand how to record properly with using the right audio and the right video to make sure it's clean. And then when you do your blurbs, or you say your ums or your skips, your misses, you don't want to feel like you have to start over every time. You want to be able to have an editor who can actually do it for you. So then you have to take the video and you got to give it to an editor, and then the editor's got to give it back to you, and they've got to figure out what B-roll you want or what pictures you want to support it. And then they got to figure out what kind of headlines you want. And then after it's all done, then they got to figure out, okay, what kind of thumbnails do you want? And to make the video pop out, so when somebody sees it, it looks attractive. And then from there, we got to figure out, okay, where are we going to post it, and how are we going to schedule it, and how are we going to fold it into our CRM? And you like, all of these things are listed out. And so, yeah, doing it yourself can be done, but we got to time block out time to create. And then we have to time block out time to record. And then we have to time block out time to edit. Whereas if you hire a third party, you don't have to do any of that. Like, they schedule a call. They've already provided you with the scripts in advance, that you know what you're going to talk about. Cara's team records it for you with you on, on using Zoom or whatever platform you're using. And they make sure your audio is good. They make sure your video is good. They make sure your lighting is good. They make sure your hair, well, not in my case, but your hair is combed the right way, that you're wearing the right thing. You don't have any lettuce in your teeth and all that stuff. And then they're just taking it and they're doing all the work. They're adding the B-roll, they're editing it, they're taking out the ums, they're making it professional, they're adding the thumbnails, they're adding all of the text that needs to be there. They're doing all of the things that need to be done. And then they're taking it and they're making sure that it works with your website and it works with your social media, and they chop it up so you can help you take your person who manages your CRM and put it into your CRM and your autoresponder. And they talk to you about ideas about how to use this to further facilitate referral development programs and on and on and on. Whereas if you don't have a partner doing this, it's time blocking is one thing. And so the reason why attorneys fail, all business owners in general fail, but attorneys mostly fail because running a business is hard. Running a law firm is even harder because, usually if you stop, the business stops. And so you need a partner, because if you don't have a partner, you'll do this maybe for a month, maybe you'll do it for 2 months, maybe you'll do it for 6 months, but likely at some point you're going to stop and you're going to fail because all of the workload's going to build up and you're not going to accomplish it. And so when you've got a partner to work with you, now all of a sudden everything gets done on time, on schedule, and all you got to do is show up and be the rock star. And in the beginning, you might not be the best rock star, right? In the beginning, you're not the Rolling Stones, right? You're not Mick Jagger, but like your 50th video in, you're so much better than you were in the first video, but it doesn't matter because somebody walked alongside you to make sure it put it all together and made the first one look good, even almost as good as the last one looked like, because they have all the power to edit it and do a really great job. So again, yes, you want to time block this and you can do it yourself, but don't underestimate the enormity of the task. Now, if you're small and you don't have the revenues to support a vendor to help you, I get it. By all means, you got to put in the sweat. You got to make a living from 9 to 5 and a fortune from 5 to 9. But if you've got revenues moving in the right direction, and you've got a budget for marketing, and this is something you understand the importance of, you want a partner to come alongside you to take care of all of the heavy lifting. And all you got to do is do what you're really, really good at. And that's just being you. I didn't mean, this isn't supposed to be a pitch for Cara and her team, but I don't know if you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about this. I believe you need to do it. I also know how hard it is to do, and you really need a team who understands how to do it, to execute it for you. It's insane to try to do this yourself. Fair enough, Cara?
Well, I certainly appreciate that. And I agree, because so much of it is that, if you could just show up and we handle everything else. I mean, that was kind of the impetus behind, us really kind of creating this. And I tell you, so many of our subscribers say, I tried it and I just, lasted a month. I lasted 6 months, max. But if you don't have that support, it's really hard. And we provide whatever level of support you need, meaning full scripts where you're reading word by word by word, or high level bulleted talking points that give you a little bit more room, just topics, if that's all you need, prompts. So whatever level of support you need, we provide, and then we coach you through. Like Rich says, we're trying to get the highest quality raw footage that we can. We're making sure your background looks good. We're making sure that you sound okay. There's, things that we can do kind of post-production, but, certainly there's a lot that goes into it. The more confident you get, most of our attorneys start with, reading a line by line. And by, the third month, they're, feeling a little bit more confident. They're showing their voice, right? And they're really able to, showcase their personality a little bit more. So all of it, that's why I say, just start, just do it. It might be uncomfortable. You might fumble through it for a while, but you'll get better. Just like anything else, it'll become more comfortable. And then, it might even be fun, believe it or not.
Yeah, it might even be fun. All right, listen, we're a couple minutes over. Thanks so much, everybody, for participating today. If you're listening to this on our podcast, please be sure to like, comment, share, all those things you're supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do by now. Go ahead and do that so that we can continue to get the word out about the importance of using video in your marketing. If you want to reach out to Cara Pryor, Cara, why don't you tell them your phone number and your email address so we have it on audio as well?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rich. My direct line is 714-434-5926. Feel free to email me at kprior, KPRIOR @jamespublishing.com.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time and sharing with everybody today, Cara. We did a pretty good job of cramming so much of, probably a full day's seminar worth of information into bite-sized pieces into this hour-long podcast or webcast that we did together today. And I really appreciate you and what you do for our members and what you do for your clients and the relationship we've had through the years. So thank you so much for being there for us and for sharing your time today.
Likewise, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Rich. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you learned something about a system that you could put into your law firm so you can build that law firm that supports your lifestyle rather than undermine your lifestyle. I hope that you feel like you're part of our community we call Entrepreneurial Attorney Nation. If you'd like to learn more about what we do around here, the best way to get started is to go ahead and go to our website, therichardjames.com. That's therichardjames.com, and request a free copy of one of our books so that you can take the next step in learning how we can help you build your practice better, one system at a time.